This is very likely to not be the only time I talk about either Kid Icarus Uprising nor the rest of the Kid Icarus franchise. The day this video goes up marks the 10th anniversary of Kid Icarus Uprising. 10 years ago today is when Kid Icarus got a hard reboot in the form of Uprising, going from an old-fashioned NES platformer to a hybrid of on-rail shooting and third-person combat, within a game directed by the famous Super Smash Bros. Director Masahiro Sakurai, housing a very active story, sporting some of the richest character and charm Nintendo's ever written for any of their games, some interesting gameplay, great visuals, fantastic sound design, shockingly wonderful multiplayer. This game is one of the craziest revivals and most creative reboots in and outside Nintendo's sphere of IPs. How people perceive and expect anything Kid Icarus completely changed with the making of this game. It's not a perfect game by any means, especially in regards to the button layout and control scheme as the main primary criticism it tends to hold. But I hold zero exaggeration when I say this game is my absolute favorite game on the 3DS and is one of my favorite games of all time. Very often, whenever this game is within a conversation, you'll hear from many people who have played Uprising to urge those who haven't played it, change that and play it, as if it's a game most if not every Nintendo fan should play for how charming, creative, and especially characteristically and narratively fun the game is. The best part about the game and series now is how much more character, charm, life, and charisma the developers and writers put into writing Pit, Palutena, Medusa, Viridi, Hades, basically every single character in the game. Pit being this lovable dork who has the purest intentions for Palutena, humanity, and most people around him. Palutena being this smart and helpful, yet wisecracky goddess who will sometimes poke fun at Pit, but display a genuine appreciation and respect for him. Pit and Dark Pit's dorky synergy you just can't help but love. Hades flat out being Nintendo's best villain ever, rivaling Bowser in charisma and charm. Yes, Hades is such a wonderful villain. It is the epitome of charming, this game. Rich characters, rich dialogue, rich voice acting, entertaining story, and even then its other features like the gameplay, the switching between on-rail shooting and third-person shooting, the mechanics and ideas sprinkled all throughout the game, the soundtrack and beautiful music housing one of the best boss battle themes in all of gaming, the beautiful graphics especially for the 3DS. It is not a perfect game, once again, but there is so much to love about Kid Icarus Uprising that I am very eager to revisit this game at some point in the future with you all to both show and share how much I love this game, these characters, and this series beyond just this singular video. And to anyone who hasn't played or properly experienced what this game has to offer, with about a year left until the 3DS eShop closes, I implore any newcomers to try and find either a physical copy or bite the digital bullet and buy this game digitally. You have a year left to get your hands on such a wonderful game. More people should play and experience. Beyond the control scheme, it holds so much merit and care and is a game that touched so many hearts to those who did play it. There is a reason so many Uprising fans try so hard to encourage more to try this game if they can. There is something special in there that newcomers should try and find for themselves. But I think I've made it very clear at this point, I love Kid Icarus Uprising, but even the rest of what Kid Icarus represents and is shown off in as well is something I love too. The faulty 1987 NES game, for as aged and simplistic as it is, Pit's redesign in Super Smash Bros. Brawl, and as hilariously iconic hi-ya-ya, the moveset tweaks he got in subsequent games, the addition of Dark Pit as his own character in Smash 4, especially the introduction of Palutena as a newcomer in Smash 4, and her amazing trailer, all the various Palutena's guidances in both Smash 4 and Smash Ultimate, giving people unaware of Kid Icarus Uprising a taste of what that game's dialogue and charm holds, the handful of animated shorts the game received as promotional material, like Palutena's revolting dinner, and recently there's an interview conducted by GameXplain involving the voice actor and voice actress for Pit and Palutena, Anthony Del Rio and Ali Hillis, both delightful and fun people to listen to and watch, amidst 2 Instagram live streams from today and last Sunday of them interacting with Kid Icarus fans and signing prints, all of which I'll link in the description. Essentially, give fans anything related to Kid Icarus, we're gonna eat it up so quick. But I think that's another key thing about Kid Icarus. It's a beloved series come Uprising's release, but it's by far not one of Nintendo's most popular series at all. Everything I just listed off, minus the Game Boy game, Kid Icarus of Myths and Monsters, is basically all the series has. 3 games, one of which came out so long after the first 2, some playable characters in Smash Bros. And a few animated shorts, and Uprising sold only about a modest 1.5 million copies as well, same for the original NES game, and of Myths and Monsters sales are actually unknown. We're talking a series more niche than Pikmin and arguably F-Zero. The main thing F-Zero has going for it ahead of Kid Icarus is between Captain Falcon being in Smash Bros. For a lot longer than Pit, and F-Zero as a franchise having more games than Kid Icarus. Similarly, by comparison, however, us Kid Icarus fans will practically take anything we can get regarding new stuff and content even semi-related to the series itself. By no means would this series be on Nintendo's priority for much of a reason in the grand scheme, when there's more than a dozen other active series that are far more popular and raking in far beyond a modest 1.5 million. But that's why I'm even making this video at all, because I fully believe if given the proper chance and with a properly sized audience to market towards at the right time, Kid Icarus could become one of those more popular and eye-catching series far more people could be interested in, like Xenoblade, like Fire Emblem, and Metroid and such. I fully believe it has the potential to become a B to A tier series if Nintendo cared enough to produce more Kid Icarus content of any kind. Uprising being that enchanting with charm, this creatively woven and passionately crafted, truly makes me believe this franchise is capable of achieving and delivering so much more than the 3 games it has right now. Uprising really being the franchise's only footnote to recognize and cherish it, given how many people don't really look back fondly on the NES game. It's a cult classic, granted. Most just know of Pit, Palutena, and them because of Smash Bros. This isn't me just expecting a new Kid Icarus game out of the blue. I mean ignoring of Myths and Monsters. It took the franchise 25 entire years to get a whole new game, and we're on to Uprising's 10th anniversary with no new game of any kind since. With the most Kid Icarus showing for is Smash Bros., which isn't even a Kid Icarus game, nor is it a super major vocal point or attraction of Smash Bros. As a whole. We're still talking a series that's pretty dang niche. But there are definitely various ways this franchise can provide for more content, and content that many more people would eat up than when Uprising launched. Because while its sales were modest, especially for a revival of a legacy IP, the game came out at the start of the 2nd year of the system's life. This was when it was only just starting to gain a little more traction after Mario Kart 7 and Mario 3D Land. The system wasn't doing anything crazy yet by that point. So between that and Kid Icarus only had an NES and Game Boy game, it never went the multiple miles other big first-party series went on to achieve on the thing. Comparatively to the Switch, the series would 100% see much better numbers and would be among the eyes of a vastly bigger and more active audience. Imagine if the series ever got a sequel game sooner than 15 years from now. Maybe something completely different from Uprising, a spin-off game of some sort, a full anime series, some crossover game with another IP that wasn't just Smash Bros. This franchise could become so much more, and it deserves so much more if Nintendo ever gave Kid Icarus another chance to be given a game on a system like the Switch or maybe its successor. I'm fairly sure most Kid Icarus enthusiasts would be 100% content with an Uprising remake or remaster of some sort on the Switch or its successor if possible. Sakurai himself has mentioned before making either a remake or a sequel of the game would be difficult to do. As logical and understandable as that is, it's also the fact there's even a chance either or could happen for the series is what makes me hopeful, praying it ever get that chance. Forget sooner than in 2037. Like, even on the prospect of Uprising itself getting remastered or remade for Switch or something, I think that's something still worth at least trying, if not very possible. It helped preserve a game that's gained a cult following people will lose access to buying after a year from now. Let's say, hypothetically, Nintendo has interest in remaking/remastering the game for Switch, it wouldn't even need massive supervision or creative control from Sakurai himself. Grezzo, for example, has been one of Nintendo's subsidiaries who's had a very strong track record in the remake department for numerous Zelda remakes over this past decade, Luigi's Mansion on 3DS, and Miitopia recently on Switch. Why not see if they have what it takes to retranslate Uprising for home consoles? That's something I 100% think they could pull off if given that chance, and the only major thing a potential remaster/remake of Kid Icarus Uprising would need is just remapped controls. The way the physics and gameplay work in game is good, the presentation stellar, the writing, voice acting, characterization, soundtrack, etc. Basically everything else about Kid Icarus Uprising is so good and expertly crafted, the only thing you need to change or improve is that control scheme. Make it more accessible to your average consumer, more comfortable, giving them a traditional button layout, or even add gyro control options too. Instead of the stylus acting for your cursor, use the right control stick for that. Add an option to make that gyro based as well, as the left control stick's the one to move. Right trigger still shooting, left and right shoulder buttons can shift the camera left and right if not the right stick for that cursor. Sensitivity options being added for those as well. The left trigger to unleash the super attacks in the flying sections. The A, B, X, and Y buttons mapped to using specific powers in the game as opposed to the small tiny box in the bottom screen. Boom! And mapping conversations at the bottom of the whole screen while not taking up too much of it, similar to Palutena's guidances, you effectively have a solid foundation for a control scheme far more people can adapt to and enjoy than the awkward way you're forced to use the 3DS to play it. And with how massive the install base and active player base is for the Switch, hopefully the same for its successor, an Uprising remake/remaster would perform much better than how the original on 3DS did. Forgetting the fact that like every single first party on the Switch and every single sub-series title of some of these first parties on Switch are some of, if not the best sold titles in their respective series ever, Kid Icarus could very well receive the same success and widespread reach. Same goes for a sequel, which again, wouldn't have to be specifically handled and directed by Sakurai himself. The man created Kirby and stopped making Kirby games after Air Ride. That did not stop Nintendo and HAL Laboratory from creating more Kirby games. What if one of Nintendo's in-house teams ever wanted to make a sequel game? Maybe Grezzo would want to push beyond the remake/remaster territory and do such a thing. Or Intelligent Systems, Next Level Games, Retro Studios, Koei Tecmo. Maybe collaborating with Bandai Namco one of these days for either a remake or a full sequel too. I'm 100% aware a lot of the companies and subsidiaries I listed off are hard at work at other titles and series right now. Next Level with Mario Strikers, Retro with Metroid Prime 4 and whatnot. But not only do I refer to future projects, like years from now, a new Kid Icarus game immediately right now is not what I mean when I'm listing all these potential possibilities for development of a new Kid Icarus project, but there are many options to choose from when it comes to approaching who should make a new Kid Icarus project. It'd be incredibly difficult for sure, but Kid Icarus being so heavily ingrained into Greek mythology allows for still plenty of room to work with as far as what other kinds of gods and goddesses to create and mesh within the world of Kid Icarus and make them fit just as much as everyone else. Even then, there is still some loose ends after the end of Uprising that even Smash teased, like Viridi kickstarting her forces in nature again, Dark Pit joining her side. That could still be explored and continued. The fact gods and goddesses towards the latter half of Uprising kept getting revived. That's a thing that might or might not have to tie specifically to something only Hades can do. Pit's entire trait of being a flightless angel, wanting to fly by himself one day. A potential story centering around Pit trying to make that wish come true all on his own could take place. Heck, some points in Uprising incorporated ideas and stuff not even related to Greek mythology and gods and goddesses. This outside alien race, the Aurum, invaded a little over halfway into the game. It was an interesting and unique expansion of the world Kid Icarus has and the boundaries the main characters have between each other and humanity. There could be more aliens and outside forces beyond divine realms like Skyworld and the Underworld. Conflicts akin to the events of Chapter 18, to where Palutena and Skyworld's reputation could be soured by some other god or goddess amongst humans, not just amidst the general conflict between the Underworld and Skyworld in both the original Kid Icarus and Uprising. Like, even within the main branch of what Kid Icarus Uprising established, there are still multiple ways a new Kid Icarus game after Uprising can go about, alongside gone about in a way that the series doesn't always need specific direction and supervision from Sakurai, like how Kirby's still kicking with his games long after Sakurai left developing them. And even then, who's to say the series has no spin-off potential? I mentioned Koei Tecmo, and there are plenty of other Nintendo series that could fit the warrior style of games like Hyrule Warriors and Fire Emblem Warriors did. But a Kid Icarus Warriors would be one of the most fitting in my opinion. Readapt Uprising's story and characters to match a warrior style game. With how many underworld, forces of nature, and Aurum enemies you fight, they could perfectly fit as fodder for a warriors game, playing as Pit, Palutena, Dark Pit, Magnus, Viridi, Medusa, Hades, Pandora, Phosphora, etc. in a Warriors game would unironically be stupid cool. Or maybe a zany and weird crossover, kind of like Mario plus Rabbids, combining Kid Icarus' world with something like Mario, Zelda, or heck even Star Fox, either combining traits of both their genres or putting them in an entirely different genre altogether, again, like Mario plus Rabbids. There are so many different routes Kid Icarus could go, whether for a remaster/remake, a full-blown sequel, or even spin-off titles, and even animated content similar to the shorts the game got. Those would be super cool and be surprisingly more popular than I think most would believe. Uprising in its entirety feels a lot like an anime, and you could say this about Zelda, Fire Emblem, or Xenoblade for example, but a Kid Icarus anime or movie of sorts is such a no-brainer in how fitting and entertaining a full one of either could be. More slice-of-life adventures and stuff between Pit, Palutena, Dark Pit, Viridi, the Centurions, some new allies and new antagonists of sorts, maybe Uprising itself readapted into an anime, that would be awesome too. I swear there are multiple ways Kid Icarus can expand as a brand, and it'd not only be awesome if executed right, but the series would grow far beyond the niche cult classic status it has now. That's why I'm even making this, to not just share and express my adoration for the series with you all, but to shout to the heavens and hope and pray this franchise gets something new in the coming years or so. With how much charm, love, and care Uprising was made out of, gave to the Kid Icarus series, and fans give to Uprising and anyone involved, I strongly feel this is a series that shouldn't sit on the shelf for so long, purely out of passion and love. Whether some new anime or movie project, a remaster or remake of Uprising made by not Sakurai, a not made by Sakurai full sequel that Nintendo or the various Nintendo subdivisions or non-Nintendo subdivisions they could collaborate with could take a crack at, a spin-off of some kind, whether Warriors, some weird crossover, or something completely different and original, Kid Icarus has become a cult classic series that I believe deserves so much more. Much more attention from consumers, much more consideration for new projects, games, animations and such, more popularity, more content at all, and just more success. And at the very least, while this definitely won't be the only time I talk about Kid Icarus, I'm also reminiscing on how wonderful of a game Uprising is, and I wish to my favorite 3DS game a happy 10th anniversary, a happy 10th birthday, 10 years of Uprising. 10 years of this wonderful reimagining of an old IP that wound up being such a special game more people should try out. I'm always wishing and hoping at the bottom of my heart our favorite cinnamon boy of an angel and his gorgeous green-haired goddess will ever return in a new game at some point in the future. Because this world could definitely use more Kid Icarus. Before and after we hopefully get that day, I'll still appreciate Uprising, I appreciate Kid Icarus as a whole, I appreciate all the characters it has and tried to flesh out and expand upon, all the charm it has, made me fall in love with characters like Pit and Palu, etc. But I also appreciate you guys and gals for watching. It'll likely be a while until then, but I do have some Kid Icarus content planned in the distant future. Otherwise, if not for Mario, Smash, Sonic, and other gaming content I have, I hope you'll all stay super.
Yo, hey, 妹妹，嘿，我来呀！共和到哈哈呀，拉面，嘿，来面，白哥面，共和再见呀，哈哈，拉面，酱手面，谢谢。